Yo, mm, oh my gosh. Mm, shit. What up, good vibe? Well, mm, ooh, get in there. It's dirty. Shit. Yep. Mm, shit. Oh, nice shot. Ay, por la. No. Yeah, there it goes. Mm. Mm. Okay. Nice. There it is. There it is. It's fucking fags. Hmm. I got that taken care of. That's all I need to do. Now my stream's good. Okay. I like that. Should have no more lag issues. Okay, there.
From top players, the acting attorney general. Why now from the Trump administration? For wire fraud, all sorts of fraud in this indictment about the SPLC. Specifically labeled in the indictment is their funding of KKK leaders. in order to basically foment chaos. In our last guest, we just talked about the strategy of tension, of course, which has been used by NATO for years under Operation Gladio.
Dollars to help plan Charlottesville. In addition to that, they secretly funneled more than $3 million to a bunch of violent racist extremist groups, including the Ku Klux Klan, the American Nazi Party, Aryan Nation, United Klans of America, and it goes on from there. So I think don't forget about the $3 million. So this group that was supposed to be fighting racism, in fact, was fomenting racism by paying these groups to basically organize protests that SPLC could then point to and say that America has a huge racism problem, donate to us. And that's basically what happened. They increased the amount of money that they were able to fundraise by $81 million. So that $270,000 investment led to an $81 million return. Pretty good. But this is kind of the whole point of the story, is that
Fucking hilarious. There it goes. Hashtag Alex Jones is right. Once again, put another dollar in that tip jar, people. Alex Jones predicted that these fucking these NGOs fucking prop up their fucking fighting racism. There's not enough of them. They fucking pay the fucking quote unquote racist fucking people to fucking go out on rallies and fucking go out just so they fucking have reason to say that there's so much fucking racism, there's so much anti-Semitism. We're not racist people. They just fucking prop these.
Alex Jones was
so
correct once again.
Fucking
Vindicated
terrible.
over his coverage of the SPLC over the years. In fact, if you go to their website, Alex Jones is listed as an extremist on their website. You know that's how he's over the target on all of this. Of course, now we have this indictment from Todd Blanche, the acting attorney general. Why now? From the Trump administration for wire fraud, all sorts of fraud in this indictment about the SPLC. Specifically labeled in the indictment is their funding of KKK leaders in order to basically foment chaos. In our last guest, we just talked about the strategy of tension, of course, which has been used by NATO for years under Operation Gladio, and to keep us in this perpetual state of chaos, funding both the left and the right, and telling us that, yes, in the United States, white supremacy is our greatest threat to the future of our country. Alex Jones joins us now, who has been vindicated once again. Alex, our friend, welcome back to the show. Great to see you.
Big fan of you guys. Great to be here. Love to have you on my show. Come on anytime. Yeah, I mean, I could do 10 hours on the SPLC. When I first got on air in 1994, Ted Gunderson, General Parton, when Oklahoma City happened,
Mike check,
on the scene, warning everybody the SPLC had basically run the whole attack. I interviewed the federal informants, witnesses, you know, everybody, FBI whistleblowers came out. I mean, this really blew up in their face, pun intended. And so I really learned about them then, and then I had them infiltrate us through an employee 4 years ago, and they published, you know, what they found, which was nothing, and just crazy town stuff. But they are really the mothership to the ADL, and it's not just $1 billion they have in offshore accounts; it's multi-billions. And we've learned German intelligence, because U.S. intelligence likes to use a foreign agency, kind of like they use the British to go after Trump with Crossfire Hurricane. German intelligence is the main command base for them, kind of through the Marshall Plan, the CIA, through NATO, and British MI6. And so the entire racist revolution of the KKK, the Aryan Nations, National Vanguard, all of it is run by them, and they are the chief group. So now Todd Blanche, to his credit, just believe Todd Blanche, I've been a big critic. I know he's right because I already know it. He goes on Fox and says, no, Biden killed investigations into them by the FBI for money laundering. Well, we know that. And so the Biden administration, this is as far back as they're going, goes back 50 years. The Democrats, and the deep state is in control of the Southern Poverty Law Center that does all of this. They're tied to Fast and Furious, just everything. And they directly command. It's not informants. It's the leadership from Dr. William Pierce of Nat Fan to all the groups is them literally creating this. So this is Jussie Smollett to the power of infinity. And the fact that Trump did this, finally something good from his DOJ. And I was told by Ed Martin when I was in D.C. like 8 months ago with him, he said, no, we're looking into the Southern Poverty Law Center and the ADL and the NGOs. He wouldn't tell me the details, but he said it's incredible. He also told me, which later came out in the news, that he has the chief of staff, coming in saying, yeah, it was a committee that was really the president, not Biden. And of course that got killed. So I'm very upset. They just killed the investigation into former CIA Director John Brennan. So I'm very critical of Blanche. But the fact that Trump's doing this is striking right at the Democrat Party's control of the deep state. You couldn't hit at the heart of the system closer than the Southern Poverty Law Center. So this is ultra massive. If you look, just type in Alex Jones sued over Charlottesville. I was sued by a former State Department employee that worked for Hillary Clinton. Didn't even talk about him. I just said, look, the Southern Poverty Law Center was so sloppy, their NGO, a sub-NGO, funded crowdfunding for Charlottesville to go out and meet protesters. And I said, that's their MO. So they sued me, Southern Poverty Law Center, through Georgetown. It's a CIA front for these groups. And then when it went to trial, they dropped it, but it still cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars when I was over the target on the fact they were staging that event. And so, yeah, I have been battling them for at least 25 years. And the former head of the FBI in L.A., Ted Gunderson, the former head of Air Force Weapons Development, General Parton, they all immediately, because I started in 94 at an Access show, a local radio show, and so I had a big show right away, got syndicated very quickly. I got to talk to all the original OGs who wouldn't release classified information on air. They would just tell me what was happening, but they had all the classification. And they were like, no, this is the mothership, the Southern Poverty Law Center. It's the heart of this. And so I'm the leading living expert on this, not as an expert, but a victim of them. And it has just been hellish dealing with them. And they've been behind the lawsuits, quarterbacking it all. I mean, these are some very, very, I see these promos, AIs of purple hair people going, look, let's manufacture racism to get more donations. That's not what this is. No. They're creating it to create division and balkanization and divide and conquer and civil war in America. Okay, the donations are just icing on the cake. So this action by Todd Blanche and them, I said I'll call balls and strikes. I was beside myself 2 days ago when this broke. And now the fact that Blanche is like, no, it's a false flag. No. They don't just have infiltrators. They run these groups. That is 100% dead on. So I'll give Todd Blanche credit where credit's due. Hopefully, this is the beginning of a lot more to come.
Well, not only does it scare people unnecessarily, we don't know what the state of racism would actually be without this manipulation and perversion. It also expands government power, and we saw in the wake of the Oklahoma City bombing, we had broader definition of material support, so the government started to say you can't support these extremist groups, which is exactly now what they're being indicted on. But also we've had greater use of surveillance tools, greater use of FISA. And so it was also a government expansion massively under Clinton, right?
Well, Bill Clinton famously on Air Force One, when he won re-election in 1996, he said, I owe my re-election to the Oklahoma City bombing. Just look up, Bill Clinton owes re-election to Oklahoma City bombing. So they did that. Eric Holder was the deputy AG at the time. He later ran Fast and Furious to supply Al-Qaeda and ISIS with weapons and blame Second Amendment owners with that. This is their MO, and they got caught really bad. I mean, they had to kill Terrence Yegi, the first cop to respond. I interviewed the K-9 unit, second guy to respond, Sergeant Browning, who threatened to kill him and his wife, the FBI, in his offices. I interviewed everybody basically involved who were witnesses to the deputy head of the ATF and others they saw in the maintenance areas planting what they call gray sticks of butter. They said they were phone repair crews, but a bunch of the bombs didn't go off. So we've known this since Elohim City. That Carol Howell, the FBI informant, went public and said, no, there was a real bombing. McVeigh got upset and said he was Special Operations, Delta Force. He said, I'm not going to be part of the bombing, so they drugged him up and had him arrested. We had FBI whistleblowers on that. So we know who this group is back to that. But notice Blanche and them in the indictment talk about them funding criminal attacks not just cross burnings, but you're going to find winding up mentally ill people that go and shoot up black churches. Remember that?
Right.
So,
Oh, yes.
and shooting up Focus on the Family. These are very, again, people are like, oh, they're purple-haired liberals that stage racism to get money. No, that's a cover, folks. This is a multinational NATO, post-World War II, they set up the Marshall Plan so the CIA can operate in Europe with no congressional oversight. And so, from my intel, German, and it's come out in the news as well, German intelligence that's been caught staging massive false flags in Germany against the right wing, firebombing Turkish people, all that. This is who they are. So these are the thoroughbred four horsemen of doom. I mean, these are the Darth Vaders of the leftist deep state. They're the captains of Antifa with Soros that create the blueprint plans for that. I mean, Trump has struck directly at the mothership, which is a good sign with all the bad signs we saw. If Trump continues down this road, he is going directly for the jugular of these people.
You believe it's because their funding has been largely disrupted with what's happening overseas right now that this is coming out? It just seems, and the timing of all of this is so weird. We just had Colonel Towner Watkins on to talk about how they've known about this since the 1970s, right? This is all part of the Operation Gladio, NATO leave-behind armies.
And like you said, exactly. NATO, Gladio, Steve Pachinik, back channel. I'm not saying Pachinik's behind us, but he ran Gladio as part of the operation. They took the Gladio model of blowing up school buses, blaming it on the Russians. That's declassified in Italy and things. And they move this over here, and that's basically the plan.
Well, here's something that'll make you look at your rain jacket differently. Most waterproof jackets, the ones from those big outdoor brands, the ones you've been wearing for years, they're coated with something called PFAS.
What rank am I on?
Yeah,
What?
they call them forever chemicals because
Broccoli?
they don't break down, not in the environment, not on your body, not ever. PFAS are what make the water beat up and roll off of your jacket. So that's that satisfying moment where the rain just hits the fabric, just slides right off. Yeah. That's a toxic chemical doing its job. And then doing its other job is poisoning you slowly. That's why I want to tell you about the Bearskin Heavy. That's the same nut. It can actually this form down free.
It's really hard for people to wrap their hands around the fact that their own government will fund attacks on them in order to expand their power and create chaos.
I mean, because we talked about
Hitler was elected president by a narrow margin. And the chancellor would not resign, and so they staged the Reichstag burning February 27, 1933, so that the Kaiser Wilhelm would resign and Hitler became the Fuhrer, meaning the leader of the upper and lower house of the Bundestag. And so that's how we got Hitler. So why would the Germans firebomb their own building and blame it on a communist mentally ill person, Marinus van der Lubbe? Because it works. I mean, this is how this works. This is statecraft.
Right. Talk to Iraqi Jews who were bombed by the Zionists in order to move into Israel. It happens. It's just extremely hard to believe you live in a world like this.
Let's go back to like Ruby Ridge. Let's talk about Waco, and let's dive a little bit deeper here in Oklahoma City specifically. How would and we don't know specifically, maybe you do, on Waco and Ruby Ridge, but as our last guest just talked about, Colonel Watkins, like that was the start of the white supremacist narrative. You have like a mentally ill white veteran. You have you have the start of that white supremacist narrative emerging. And then, of course, capped off with the Oklahoma City bombing. It'd be strange it's hard for me to believe that the SPLC wouldn't be involved in Ruby Ridge and Waco.
My bad, bro. I thought you had that.
It's on record. I knew Randy Weaver and everybody, but I had to sit at the feet of Ted Gunderson and General Parton, so everything they told me was true. It all came out. Okay, so here's how it works. In World War II, unlimited funding Marshall Plan, NATO. And so they set up Operation Gladio here domestically in the future, that one of American patriots get upset. We won't just blow up bombs and blame the Russians, to fight them. We will do that domestically. And you have all the movies, Civil War, one battle after another, predicting a Civil War. They're promoting all of this. And so it's very, very simple. The first press conference after Biden stole the election in 2021 was them getting up and saying the number one terror threat is white supremacy. It's the number one crime in America, even though it basically doesn't exist. It's like finding a unicorn or a Lucky Charms elf or something. or it's insane. And then they put up that, we put it on screen, told the grid to have it. They put up that national terrorism executive order in June of 2021 saying white supremacism is the #1 threat. Then they define white supremacism as protesting lockdowns, protesting shots, protesting wars, being against anything Biden does. And then they use basically any crime statistic, and even including black people, to say they're white, to then create this thing that Homeland Security is now not pointed at Islam, that they claim with 9/11, but now it's pointed back what they originally tried with Waco, which was declassified, that they said, let's just pick this group, let's go kill them, let's get America behind this, and now we'll have a way to basically take the country over. So this has been the globalist, leftist, Soros, ADL, Southern Poverty Law Center move, is how do they set the stage to stage a civil war, and then out of the crisis of the Civil War, they have an excuse for martial law and to basically end the republic. So that's what this whole thing has been, and it's just so devastating that now this has been brought out by Trump. And when I saw this 2 days ago, I was driving home. I went home early, like 6 o'clock. I almost ran off the road. And then I mean, literally, I was like, it just doesn't fit. Like, if I was Trump, this is exactly what I would do. And I knew Ed Martin was investigating. He'd tell me the details. He said, oh, by the way, we're at the Southern Poverty Law Center. We got incredible stuff, and we're right after the ADL. And I was like, God, you better be safe. He goes, well, I have all this oversight. I can see everything, but they won't let me do anything. But I
Bro, I don't know what you're doing over there, bro.
I'm going to see what he said, but the point is he's being blocked. And I was like, this is incredible. Good luck. But the fact that they picked up his investigation and did this shows that Trump understands that. Here's the deal. From best I understand, this is speculation. Trump could either expose the whole Epstein thing, he's not involved, but most people are, Democrat mainly, but still. Or he could use the file to blackmail them. And I said over a year and a half ago, I said if he goes that route, which I was told hit the fucking ball. I said, sir, they're going to turn around and stab you in the back. Okay, so let's be Machiavellian here for a minute. You can't trust them.
You hit the goddamn ball.
So I think the fact that he's going after them is speculation. Because 99% of what I do is just pure information.
Not that way, bro. Not that way, bro.
Is Trump finally gets it.
Not that way, bro.
And the fact that he gets the keys at the Southern Poverty Law Center, that's Obama, that's NATO, that's the Deep Foundation, Deep State. I mean, he gets that information, and you know the guys over there are going to roll right over. If he finally presses it, he has it.
Don't get me either.
I mean, this is doomsday for them.
What about the ADL part of it? What about the ADL part of it? Because, as you mentioned, they're in lockstep.
Yeah, the ADL is mainly about buying off local.
No, not what it's saying, bro. Fuck the same. Hit the fucking ball.
Brainwashing and censorship. It's more the public arm, but it's the left arm. The Southern Poverty Law Center is the muscle. I mean, again, they're not blue, purple haired. Oh, look, they're all a bunch of black people.
You're doing backflips, bro.
It's an international NATO intelligence operation. I mean, they're killers. They're not set on air. I said I get killed. For years, they're the main suspect.
No, bro.
So they're
hit the
the
ball,
teeth
bro.
of the globals. And the fact that Trump just knocked their teeth in, because they didn't just come out with a little bit. They said, no, they run the white supremacists, which they do. So the fact that it was so full-throated, and now Blanche is on TV saying,
bro, come on,
blocked investigations by the FBI. I mean, you look at that signature, this is, and again, people say, well, wait, you're off the Trump train, you're off the Trump train. Trump has always been better than the Democrats. I'm just going to call balls and strikes. So, paradoxically, they go, my listeners are like, wait, you're mad at Trump, now this is great. Yeah, it's like calling balls and strikes. You make of it what you want. This sends chills up my spine that they did this, and the way they did it, and what they said is true. Don't just believe them, I'm an expert on it. It's beyond a shot over the bow, okay? Yeah. This is letting Obama and Holder and all them know.
Ah, shit, bro, get to it. Get to that fucking ball, bro. Get to the fucking...
This is grabbing by the balls.
Right, something that J. Christian Adams,
You gotta be
the
the worst
lawyer in the
fucking
Justice
teammate, bro.
Department during the Obama years, and he said Obama fundraised for the ADL for the
I mean, I know I missed it.
Center.
Goddamn,
Here's how
bro.
he did it:
What the
he
fuck
would have
is
his
going?
Justice Department go and file very flimsy lawsuits against, say, I don't know, Company B. and say, well, you've been accused of racism. And Company B would get so scared that they're being indicted by the federal government that they would offer a settlement, and the Obama Justice Department would say,
I don't know how I just went in, but I'll take it.
would say, well,
These
here's
boots,
what
bro.
you do,
Shut the
then
fuck
you
up
have to
with
make
this
a
shit.
big donation
You need to fucking hit the
to
ball.
the Southern Power Center or the ADL or, yes, the NAACP. So what that was Obama acting as a shakedown.
You just not being a cheerleader.
And moving money, government money, into these organizations. Yeah, this happened. It's detailed.
That's all on record.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Al Sharpton. That's the old model. And then they went, how about we just cause a race war and use martial law for total control?
Oh, there you go again. Nice
Which
shot, bro.
came out in Obama
Fucking guy,
documents
bro.
that leaked like 10 years ago that he was wanting to cause a martial law, before the election, his second election. Yeah, so this is, I'm telling you, you want to hit the heart of the heart. I mean, you don't do this. So this is Trump going right at the jugular. I mean, there's no way to dial this back or say that this isn't devastating. I mean, this is like, I'm so pissed at Blanche. He killed the investigation of the CIA, FBI, DOJ declassified, running all the lawfare against me with Ed Martin.
Oh, you're about to score our own goal. What's your deal, dude?
So I don't trust Blanche.
You need more than the ball, bro.
And from my sources, they said, no. There's about to be a lot more of this because Trump
more than the ball.
It's not enough that he's going to pardon all these people that leaves in 2.5 years. He's got to blow these people up. And the way to do it is to expose things like Fast and Furious, things like running the KKK, all of it. Listen, I already knew all this. My sources and my research is, I've always told listeners, if I get killed to be a white supremacist and now or a tranny,
oh, just the worst.
Terror groups. And I would take an hour or so of stories about the Department of Law Center, what they've done to us.
That was absolutely
terrible. These guys have run me over repeatedly.
Absolutely terrible.
And so I just cannot stress to people enough that I guarantee you, Obama and Brennan and the rest of them, that's who runs
that was
it.
Absolutely horrendous.
Definitely shitting themselves. Sorry for the French, but this is seismic. You cannot exaggerate. Trump just literally, use a Star Wars analogy. This is a torpedo down the reactor shaft.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, I know you got to go in a minute, but what do you think
I'll stay as long as you want.
No, I know you got to hard out. I want to get you out of here on time, Alex. But I know what do you think the end goal was for the SPLC in creating this chaos? Was it control? What do you believe their end game was?
Well, the facts are in. You have the head of the Southern Poverty Law Center caught a few years ago a documentary in his office, and he's got maps up on the wall tracking the decline of white population and Christians.
Oh.
So
there you go.
And I'm not even Catholic, but they have this weird hard on for Catholics. They've calculated conservative Catholics are a problem. Because I guess they're not pro-Israel or whatever, or just mindlessly. And the goal is ending Western civilization. And they say it in white papers, they go, the only people standing up against this historically are white people. And they particularly talk about Scots and Irish and people in actual big reports. So they're like, oh, the Scots have infested and infected the body politic with resistance. So, we've got to just get rid of the white people. There's like CDC heads saying in famous videos. And so they
have the worst teammates in the fucking
that if we just, get rid of these people. That's not me saying it. It's on his wall. The decline of white people and his goals to get rid of us. And that's the head of the Southern Poverty Law Center. So
there you go. It's not mysterious at all.
The biggest Southern poverty group is white.
Right.
So.
Oh yeah, you look at their. That's the thing. It's just total. It's a psychotic snake eating its own tail. And
he leaks.
I would expect that with this move, we're going to see a lot more of this. And this is exactly what Trump needed to do. And Trump always amazes me. He's been doing so bad for 8 months. He was doing so good for 6-8 months.
He's back.
Beautiful. Then he went
What's
off
up,
course
teammate?
and got horrible. And if he gets back on course, I'll be, they're supporting no matter what he says about me. I just see him as a vehicle
nice shot.
to get stuff done. But
Nice shot,
come back on next week.
Good.
The whole bigger story is the Onion, backed by Bloomberg and the Democrats publicly, finally is going to get shut down next Thursday. And the guy they're bringing in to run it, who says he's going to wear my skin, produces national TV shows.
You're hitting me, bro.
Adult Swim that are
You're hitting me more than the actual ball, bro.
And it is over the top insane. So we've launched our new news site just today, AlexJonesLive.com. AlexJonesLive.com. And all the radio stations are ready. We got the same satellites, new studios. But
these guys up
since 97, since 94. This is a big date coming up. But Alex Jones live.com is the new destination of the tip of the spear. And so much is happening, but things are moving very, very quickly. I'm a big fan of you guys' work. It's great to be on with you. I'd love to have you on the show next week. It's the Twilight version.
I can't
Yeah,
fucking
I
depend on
mean,
my
we'd love to have
teammates
you
to
on
put
again
it
next
in.
week too, as this disaster of
Oh, they're about to
Elon
put it
swoops
themselves,
in
too.
and pedophiles taking over Infowars. Alex, great to see you. Thank you so much. It's unbelievable, but yeah, we'd love to have you back on next week, and we'd love to talk. So thank you so much for your courage and all this. We really appreciate it. Thanks, Alex.
Well, thank you for your great questions, and I really appreciate you.
Oh, I missed
all
it.
the shows.
Thanks so much, Alex.
Yeah, well, bro, look, if you fucking make something up, bro, before you start saying wow. Fuck you saying wow. Oh, good pass for them. There you go, bro. Put it in there. There you go, bud. There you go, bud. Nice shot, teammate. Good job. Good job, teammate. You fucking really fucking got that one out of the play, bud. Yes. Nice pass for them. Finished it. There you go, bud. You're welcome. Touche. Touche. Oh, nice. Oh no, what is go? Jesus Christ, what happened here? I want to see every second of this. Yo, but for, yeah, you're cooked already. You're barbecue, bro. Cooked. You're straight barbecue, dude. Look at this. Nice shot, bro. Oh my god. What is going on? Go right there for you, bro. No? Yeah, you know where to be found. You're going, I don't know why you're going that way, but. Look, you just took him up with a good pass, bro. Give him a great pass. Jesus Christ, thank God it's over.
So it makes me wonder if there are elements within the murkier levels of private
Jesus.
aerospace with
Can I
loose
get
connections
one
to
fucking
governmental
thing?
programs who are concerned about
Well, I can't
daylight
remember.
breaking into their black projects. And although we can't be certain, much like the GEC Marconi incident in the 80s, we see a pattern here, and I don't think it would be right to ignore that pattern.
Can we surmise what kind of research will be thwarted with these deaths? I know we can't know, but can we surmise?
Well, I would say the killing of Professor Nuno Loureiro in 2025 is one of the biggest concerns and red flags for me. He was shot at his home, and he was widely regarded as a top-tier scientist in fusion physics. He was a leading plasma physicist and fusion researcher, and these are exactly the types of exotic energy and propulsion avenues that cross over into extreme national security secrecy and the potential for your life to be in danger if you were to divulge those secrets. Another example, I mean, General William McCasland, who's been missing for well over a month now, I believe, he was revealed through the WikiLeaks emails targeting John Podesta to be a senior advisor on the UFO subject to none other than Tom DeLonge, the rock star celebrity who founded To the Stars Academy of Arts and Science and brought the likes of Lou Elizondo and Christopher Mellon and Jim Semivan, all of these various government, defense, DoD, CIA guys onto the scene as the public face of government UFO disclosure. So the WikiLeaks emails actually show that Tom was bragging to John Podesta about how General William McCasland was his top advisors on the UFO subject. And so when you see the general disappear alongside several prominent scientists in the realm of exotic physics, plasma research, the search for extraterrestrial techno-signatures, we can begin to see how a situation could be coordinated.
Is it a clue that when Professor Loureiro he was a Portuguese, and as soon as the bomb broke, it was spun by Zionists as an anti-Zionist killing, as an anti-Semitic. Yes. And then that later turned out to be false. He was not targeted for being Jewish. I don't know that he even was. Is that this initial narrative spin that was picked up, is that a clue, do you think?
Well, I think Mossad, above all of the other intelligence agencies, has a pretty deep hand in the Black Project, so it wouldn't surprise me if narratives were being spun from that side of the water, but I can't speak to the exact accuracy of whether or not that was, part of a game plan, but it would certainly be part of the kind of, the rule book and the toolkit that's deployed by the intelligence agencies, especially by Mossad.
Okay.
What about the Chinese piece of this? We had Brandon Weichert on from the NatSec.
There's Chinese fucking people getting fucking murdered too.
Found that similar missings, vanishings were happening on the Chinese side. Yeah. So that's why I sort of asked you at the beginning if this is like a tit for tat. Is China maybe at the heart of this? And then I want to follow up because, well, I'll put it as one big cornucopia question for you, Jay, which is, we have these secret space program collaborations. We've talked about them on our show at length with Russia, with China, working on these ARC projects and other things. And that collaboration is well known within that community. So when we have this kind of collaboration with the Chinese and the Russians on these secret space programs, the moon base and all of these things, why would we be killing each other's scientists if that is at the heart of it?
Well, I worry that it supersedes governments and nation states. I think that there was a time in the chronology back in, let's say, like the 1940s, 50s era.
Oh shit!
Where a lot of this
Cosmic. There we go.
Potential non-human technology, non-human biology.
Are you planning on doing right?
What up, Cosmic? Thank God, bro. I need somebody that can, bro. My fucking kid has been like fucking. It's like watching a kid like walk for the first time, bro. It's fucking ridiculous.
Well, just so you know, this is Diamond 3 lobbies now.
Oh boy, that's like I'm fucking trying to walk. I mean, I've gotten, I hate being scared, but I've gotten a little better, but I've gotten fucking obsessed. So, let's say, fingers crossed. Wild? Oh, what's going on, bro? So what's going on, bro? shit. Okay. Oh, there you go.
Great pass.
Alright, that was definitely not fast, but I'll take it. I was definitely trying to fucking get this to the left side, but I'll take what I got. So
Still winning either way.
I revised my last previous thing. Yeah, I didn't do that. By my calculations, that all went. Oh.
And he's going on the wall.
Walk the dog as long as oh my goodness gracious. I got a little nudge.
Yeah.
Fucked up,
On that situation, just let it roll up the wall.
Right. I got nudge right. Oh, never mind. Alright.
Yeah, when it's not going towards the net, just leave it. Almost. That's all. He's blocked that. Nice.
Ay, caray. Go ahead, take it. Go ahead, take it.
He's beaten. Alright, now I want to hit that, but alright.
Just get it out. Ah, miss it.
I'm good.
Fucking away.
You're good. I also just got on, so I'm rusty.
I'm just dusty. Fucker. I'm going after this. Oh, Yeah, yeah, bro.
That's one of the main subjects I focus on, as well as classified technology and the mysteries of the national security state. So I definitely appreciate any support from that. So thank you so much for highlighting that. Really, really appreciate it.
I love it. I love it. You're speaking my language. You're speaking my language. So.
Good. Well, we should keep in touch.
Absolutely. I would love to go on one of these adventures with you if the wife will.
Yeah, no bullshit.
Actually, let's just do it. I don't need to ask permission. We're gonna go.
You don't ask, you
good.
tell.
Yeah. Where are you?
That's right.
I'm with Jay. We're in Antarctica. Sorry, I'll be here next week. Jay, great to see you. Thank you
Sounds
so
good
much
to
for
me.
your perspective on this. Really appreciate it. And good luck with the documentary. Everyone should check it out. We'll have it linked up in the description as well. So thanks so much, Jay.
You're most welcome. Thanks for having me, guys. Take care.
Yes. How's that? That's not a that's a great game. It's amazing. Oh, fuck. God, need double there. Oh shit, oh, it's fuck. God damn it. Oh, sorry. Oh, what the fuck is that? Yeah, it's cold. Oh my god, dude, I did it again. Jesus, Mary, Joseph. There we go. Fuck, man. Oh my god, I gotta shut my fucking mouth. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna shut my mouth. This is fucking ridiculous. People making me look bad. What in the permanent mess happened? Wait, where's this? What happened? This guy left me? What the fuck? Yo, what happened?
Yeah.
I just realized we're not playing with each other. What the fuck?
Yeah, I got disconnected because of network connection.
Oh, dude, I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Shit. I just realized this shit now. I was like, damn, if I didn't do that bad, shit.
No. They said I left party mid-match.
I just cleared it. And I'm like, wondering why you're not talking back. I'm like, what?
Don't. Yeah.
bitch. No.
Oh,
Come on, TK.
well now my girlfriend's inviting me, so I'm gonna go.
Ah, alright.
See ya.
Fuck! You're a dragon? Dragon does love you. Oh my yo, dude. What the fuck is wrong with me? Fuck. Fucking harder. Not even high. Watch it, fuck it. Okay. Fuck. Party up, party up. Ah, motherfucking bitch.
And then
to his Jewish constituents how he owns America, how he owns the American Congress. Listen to me, America. This is a Jewish leader in Israel bragging about how he owns the United States Congress, your House, your representative. Says he owns them. He can make them do anything he wants, and apparently he can. And apparently he owns the presidency as well. But for all the MAGA people out there, my God, you've surrendered. The second you say we support Israel, you've surrendered. You don't support the United States anymore. You support a foreign entity.
Yeah.
And if you're not MAGA, if you're just an American patriot, this is intolerable. Intolerable.
Yeah, I mean, every American patriot I know is furious about this. I mean, I get texts all day from people all over the country, and it's anecdotal, of course, right? But it is absolutely indicative of the feeling that people, individuals who may, voted for President Trump who are absolutely furious about being sold out to Israel.
There's still enough, oxygen thieves in the MAGA industry, the mouth breathers out there on social media who will post, how this is genius 5D chest and, Donald Trump is the greatest thing in the world. He's Christ, apparently, and that he has reached down and he has touched the Strait of Hormuz and everything is good. And for the next couple of days, they can sell this lie, but very soon it'll just be exposed as a lie. And this president needs to end this blockade as soon as possible and move on to negotiations. He can claim all he wants that the only reason why he received that phone call from the Pakistani president was that the blockade was working so well and everybody's scared to death of the might of America. Let him sell it the way he wants. I mean, he's been lying to us since day one. Just go ahead and accept more lies. I don't care what lies he tells as long as we end up at the negotiating table on Thursday in Pakistan, in Islamabad, and we bring this thing to a close. According to the Iranians, we were this close. The Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding was about to be signed when Benjamin Netanyahu made his magic phone calls. Again, I want to remind the American people of that. The United States decided they were ready to, come this close to ending this war when Benjamin Netanyahu called and said, no, you're not, because we're not ready to let you. We're taking direction from the Prime Minister of Israel. It is to the detriment of the national security of the United States and global.
Republicans were on fire about the corruption inside the Biden administration and Hunter Biden and the business dealings in Ukraine and the massive money laundering operation that enriched the Biden family and taking money from China and, of course, keeping that war going in Ukraine. But something else has been happening over the past few years right out there in public, right in front of Republicans' eyes, but they seem to be ignoring it, and that is the enrichment of the Kushner family. Every time we have this Middle East peace discussions, Jared Kushner is always flying in. Hear the stories, of course, about his massive condo complex plans inside of Gaza and golf courses and everything else. And so how did Jared Kushner now become a billionaire while President Trump has been in office over his two terms? We wanted to dive deeply today with our friend of the show, Owen Schroyer, who has been looking at this very, very closely, and how exactly the Kushners have enriched themselves while the rest of Americans have been suffering so dramatically. Oh, and great to see you again. Welcome back to the show.
Glad to be here. It's always fun to be with the Redacted team. And I don't know if you guys saw this. It'll lead us to the topic today. But there was a story in the news about an Iranian, I guess he was an Iranian diplomat or family of an Iranian diplomat, and he was getting on a giant private jumbo jet with his girlfriend and bragging about his lavish lifestyle. And the caption of this was, rich Iranian flies around in millionaire jet as the rest of Iranians struggle. And I took a pause for a second and I said, wow, so they're not that different from us after all, after seeing that. So you get to the Trump family. The Kushner situation, this one goes back to the first administration. And in fact, if you recall, when Trump was out of office, when they were campaigning to get back in 2024, part of the unofficial agreement with his voters, it was like an unspoken announcement. It was kind of an understanding that, hey, Kushner and Ivanka, they're not going to be a part of this administration. It was even said in so many words. And I think that's because people did notice that there was some influence from Jared Kushner and Ivanka. They noticed that perhaps there were some issues as far as what the agenda that Jared Kushner has. Was it a foreign agenda? Was it a personal agenda? This kind of became an issue in the first administration. So the Trump campaign team and Trump himself kind of whispered into the wind like, hey, don't worry, you're not going to have Ivanka and Kushner for this administration. So a lot of people saw that and said, okay, this is a good thing. Maybe I was doubting if I wanted to support Trump. I like that he's addressed that. Well, that turned out to be a complete lie. And I think if you want to get into the Kushner thing, you can go back to his property in New York City, the Lutnick connection. There's a whole thing going on there. But let's also talk about Don Jr. and Eric Trump. These are two that I took a really close following to, let's say, in the first administration, because I kind of always looked at Don Jr. and Eric, and I thought, hey, if one of these guys wants to have a political future, if Trump is successful, you can have a Trump dynasty here. And I kind of liked Eric and Don Jr.'s politics, maybe even more than their fathers at some point. But notice how they've even been kind of sidelined. You don't really see Eric and Don Jr. leading from the front. They're not doing a bunch of TV stuff. They're not doing a bunch of shows. They're kind of sitting back and doing business deals. And the companies that they're investing in are getting massive government contracts, very lucrative government contracts. So there seems to be a pattern with all of this. But Kushner's influence seems to overwhelm all of it. I don't really see much influence from the Trump sons. I think they've been told to kind of sit on the sidelines and do business. And now Kushner seems to have the major influence here. And I don't think it's been good. I don't think it's been good for the administration. I don't think it's been good for the country. You could argue that Trump's negotiating team, his envoy as they call it, which they just canceled their latest trip to Pakistan, you could say that Witkoff and Kushner, who have been leading this envoy, have failed. I mean, I think at this point you could say they have failed. We are in this war in Iran. Nobody knows when it's going to end. The administration is now warning Americans, get ready to pay more than $3 a gallon for gasoline, at least for the rest of the year. And so you get back to the original question. As all of this is going on, as the administration has taken a detour, as Trump likes to call it, That's a nice way of putting it. I don't know if the people that feel
You
betrayed
know,
by him would put it so kindly. As all of this is happening, what do we see? We see that, yes, Kushner is out here apparently enriching himself beyond most Americans' wildest imaginations. There's some rumors swirling that Lutnick's firm Cantor Fitzgerald is profiting massively off of this tariff deal. Now, they've denied it, so there's kind of some back and forth with these claims. The point is, we're all sitting here living, you know, pretty humble lifestyles, let's say. The American dream, the American lifestyle, it's not getting any better for the average American. Most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and Trump was supposed to be our guy. Trump was supposed to be our guy that was changing this and finally draining the swamp, building the middle class back up. And it turns out it's quite the opposite. And so Kushner is kind of just one example, I think, of this, maybe the biggest, clearest example, because he's in there every day. He's part of this envoy. He has massive influence. Now he wants to make a bunch of money on a deal that they're going to have in Palestine, which we all know the issues with that. So to me, it's just another sign, another symptom that this administration is not what we voted for. And if you do want to do the compare and contrast to the Biden pay for play scheme, which is okay, fair, let's do it. I think you could argue that the Trump family is making probably about 10 times, maybe more money than the Biden family ever made.
Through what mechanisms? Because I watched the Board of Peace presentation, and Jared Kushner was saying we are taking investments right now. So it's basically a crowd fund for what they intend to do is build up a new Dubai in Gaza, owned by who?
Well, I guess them and their partners.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be, I think that's kind of the understanding here. And the way that they're presenting it, when you see them do these presentations, we've seen multiple different presentations now. These are just renderings. Who knows what it's really going to look like? But they're talking about how, hey, you know, this is going to be billions and billions of dollars. Who wants to sign up and invest? Even the Peace Board, even the Board of Peace, notice nobody's talking about the Board of Peace anymore. They bring all of these guys in. They make them all pay. I think the bill was 10 billion. Was it 10 billion, 10 million? Point is, you had to pay a bunch of money to get into this Board of Peace. For what? They're not bringing peace to anything. It looks like they're just about to do a bunch of real estate deals. It looks like they're about to do a bunch of development deals in the Middle East. Is what the Board of Peace is really all about. And then there's Kushner's fingerprints right on it too. So it looks like what they've done, if you want to try to lay it out in simple terms, the Israeli military did a military demolition of the Gaza Strip. You know, they claim it's a war, or, you know, they're responding to October 7th or whatever. Looks like it was always just a real estate land deal. Okay, now they've done the military demolition. Now Israel is moving in there. They're deciding what to do with the land. Here come the American Jews. Here comes the Trump administration. You know, they're going to get their hand in the pot. You know, they're going to try to make the final decisions here. Meanwhile, over 1 million people have been displaced. The people that lived there, they're probably going to be either kicked out or not going to be able to afford to move back whenever this deal is done. And so who's making the money? It's the development companies. It's BlackRock. It's Vanguard. It's the same story every time we have a war like this, where they just do a military-style demolition, bring in these development companies, bring in these hedge funds managers, and then rebuild it, and then they have all the investment. So that's what's going on, to me, in the Middle East. So if you want to look at, you know, the companies that Kushner is working with, or the companies the envoy is looking at in order to make these deals, that'll be the bottom line where all the money is going. But they also have the power of the purse of the United States government to say, hey, if we're going to invest in this company or that company, maybe they get a deal to build a development in the Gaza Strip, they're going to get a government contract. And we've seen this multiple times with the Trump family, whether it's data servers, whether it's AI, whether it's drone, defense contracts. The Trump family gets in at the bottom of these companies, invests in these companies. Then they get a lucrative government contract. The stock soars, the value of the company soars, and now they're in a prime position to get these deals to build these massive developments that they claim are going to make billions of dollars.
It seems like they have access to insider information, just like the individuals in the administration who are making huge stock bets ahead of President Trump making announcements on oil. 20 minutes before that announcement hits, they're making tens of millions of dollars short bets or Brent crude futures bets. And no investigation whatsoever, but
Then it was the one
clearly
that
somebody
fucking
has
was
insider
signing
information.
tariffs,
This sounds like it should be illegal.
paperwork, and fucking
I wonder if there isn't some sort of a legal regulatory issue with these prediction markets. You know, it's a little different, the prediction markets, than say normal gambling, which is a valid issue in a lot of states. I mean, an example might be where I live in Texas. I can't go and gamble on a sports betting app. I can't do it. Now, if I go to my hometown of Missouri, all of a sudden my sports gambling apps can work. I can make any sports bet I want. But down here in Texas, they don't work. But prediction markets are different. Prediction markets are not considered gambling for whatever reason. So I can get into prediction markets all the time and make bets, and it's not considered illegal. Now, the Trump administration did come out and basically kind of with a wink and a nod told everybody inside of their administration, stop gambling in prediction markets. So to me, that's kind of the sign that they at least had some level of awareness that there were people inside of the administration, making plays in the prediction markets. Now, are these the big whales that you mentioned with the big plays? I don't know. That could be somebody outside of the administration, maybe kind of privy to insider information. But on a larger scale, this story, the insider trading angle of this administration, I think is not getting good attention. I've been following this since Trump got in, because when Trump first got in, they all said the same thing. And this was when the fake news media, we still kind of had nostalgia from the first Trump administration. So Trump gets in, they say he's going to crash the stock market. And of course, what happened? The exact opposite happened. So anybody who got in at that time, when they claimed Trump was going to kill the stock market, it did a major dip. Anybody who got in at that time, you're up like 15-20% right now on your investments. Now it's been fluctuating 5-10% kind of market corrections. Everybody knows it's kind of hovering under 50,000, as Pam Bondi reminded us during her hearing. So it's kind of hovering around 49, 48. But if you watch this stuff, why does Trump always make a declaration Friday right before the stock market closes? It's all market manipulation. It honestly, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. I've never done stocks my entire life. And I decided when they told the American people that the stock market's going to collapse under Trump, I decided to bet against that. I did quite well. I'm not going to lie. I feel a little guilty, actually. I'm beating my major. I mean, I have friends that run stock brokerages, and they're looking at me like I'm from the future or something. And I'm trying to explain to them, I'm like, look, the whole White House is running an insider trading operation right now. Yeah, so I'm really not that smart. I just happen to follow political news, and it's pretty obvious. You can see what happens. Absolutely. If you know somebody is coming to the White House, if you know somebody from a big tech company is coming from the White House, and you can get ahead of that news, you're going to get a 5% bump. If you make an investment in that stock ahead of the news, finding out that this person is at the White House, you're going to get a 5% bump. I mean, without fail, guys.
I mean, it's like all you need is a Trump tweet, and you know it's either going to swing, or we're going to end civilization, so you know that's going to go down, or hey, we're extending the ceasefire, and then the market's going to go up. It's like we've never had a better, we've never had easier catalysts.
But you know, it's hard to blame voters for their lack of outrage here, because we're busy being outraged about so many things, and that's part of the strategy. You know, yes, Trump voters were upset, understandably so, about Hunter Biden's conflicts. And yes, they should also be outraged about Jared Kushner. I think that there were a lot of Republicans who were uneasy with Kushner's role during his first term. And, you know, Ivanka, I remember an interview where she sat there and they said, "Are you going to be involved this time around?" And she was like, and here's my impression, "I'm going to be a daughter this time, and a wife, and a mother, and I will support my father.
And I'll become a billionaire.
The best way possible, but you will not see me." This is exactly what, I could find the clip if you needed it. So, you know, it's a bait and switch. You can't blame the voters for this one.
Yeah. Well, you know what's going to happen, though? They're going to end up blaming us and other people in the podcast world when they lose in the midterms. You can kind of already see this happening. In fact, it's happened. Really, it's happened dozens of times since Trump was inaugurated. I looked into it last night. of all the different special elections and ballot measures that have been up for a vote since Trump got inaugurated, and I'm talking, the bigger ones, state level ones, congressional special elections, the Democrats are winning at 95% right now.
Wow.
It's like I had to really strain to find any right-wing victories in special elections and ballot measures since Trump was inaugurated. So the frustration is being felt. But as you said, what we're seeing right now from what remains of, we'll call it MAGA Trump supporters, they're lashing out at the podcasters, as they claim it, and they're saying, you're going to cost us the midterms. Well, out of the other side of the mouth, they're saying these podcasters have no influence, they're irrelevant,
Yeah.
no point in listening to them.
Yeah.
So to me, that's the epitome of the current psychological makeup of MAGA. And I don't want to be too rude on your guys' airwaves, but I think that, I think that kind of tells the story, right? I mean, that's like where their mind is at right now. Oh, the podcasters mean nothing. They have no influence. Tucker Carlson is irrelevant. Okay. And then they talk about him all day long, and they're going to blame him for the midterm. So which one is it? Is it that the podcasters are still very relevant and important to the political discussion, and they're going to impact the midterms? Or is it the podcasters are totally irrelevant, and if you lose in the midterms, it's your fault, right? They don't really want to have to accept the reality, which is if the Republicans lose in the midterms, it's Donald Trump's fault. I mean, just say it. That's what it is. If Trump was delivering on the campaign promises that built the coalition that gave him the massive victory in 2024, you wouldn't be worried about this. If you went all the way with Doge cuts, if you got $500 billion to $1 trillion in Doge cuts, you'd be a hero. If you were able to make dozens or hundreds of arrests for all of this fraud, you'd be a hero. Instead, the administration is pardoning the fraudsters.
Ridiculous.
It's like, I love this game that they play, and they make a big case out of all of these videos that we see on social media where they expose this fraud. Hey, that's great. I'm all for exposing the fraud. Very few of it has ever actually ended up in arrest. It's a very small percentage of people that are actually getting arrested for this stuff. So that's a big loss. The war with Iran, the economy, we can go on and on. Those are the reasons that Trump is going to cost Republicans, or the GOP is going to cost Republicans the midterms. It's their own doing. And I think they're mad at the podcasters, not because they are afraid of their influence over the midterms. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. They're upset at the podcasters because they're the ones calling it out. They don't like the fact that Redacted is independent, and you guys can go out and do fair, neutral coverage on the war with Iran, and you can be honest about the fact that this was a campaign promise that had been broken by Donald Trump. So there seems to be this, like, I don't know if it's jealousy. I don't know if that's the right word here, but it does seem to be like there's a little bit of jealousy. They're jealous that you guys are independent. They're jealous that you don't have to rely on a pat on the head from Donald Trump. And I see this all the time too. And look, I can understand if people don't know about all the great work you guys have done over the years and they just see one clip of you, they might leap to some wrong conclusions. But I see this happening to me. They say, oh, you're going to come running back to Trump. And I'm sitting here scratching my head. I'm like, running back to Trump? I was here before Trump. Like, I had a career in media. I was a broadcaster before Trump came down the escalator. This mindset of you're going to come running back to Trump. So again, to me, it shows the psychology of where MAGA is at right now. Inconsistencies in thought, philosophy, they can't even recognize it. And then it's this, like, everything is Trump. It's like, oh, you're going to come running back to Trump. Like somehow Trump is the life giver of all things American politics.
If I may just point out the narrative shift, because MAGA was about being in service of the American people that are largely overlooked, the working class American people. And that was a message that was meaningful to a lot of people for understandable reasons. When those promises were not kept, MAGA has shifted to Trump is the theologian. It is what he says it is. If you question it, you're questioning him. You must move ideologically with him when he no longer favors the American voters that put him into office. And if you make this person a deity, that works. If you don't go along with that, Well, then, yes, there you are, left as an independent thinker. And, they don't know what to do with that if you don't follow them.
Well, and so many of the MAGA individuals who are no longer in that camp, the sort of the hero worship of a human, in Trump, they've said, wait a minute, MAGA is just Make America Great. That's what I voted for. Like, that's what I want. That's what I want for my country. It's not a man. It's not hero worship. It's, I don't want to pay more money for my gas. I don't want my son going to fight in the Middle East war. And I want these people arrested who were involved in the Epstein files and who were involved in all of this fraud. Like, where are the perp walks? Where are the people in handcuffs? Like, where are all of these things?
And something Glenn Greenwald wrote recently is like, it's not really us causing Republicans to lose their power. They did that themselves. Democrats caused themselves to lose their power. What we're seeing here is not really a reflection on either their uniparty. They're both shitty. It's what he calls villain rotation.
Villain rotation, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think it's incredible how parallel you could, from the left and the right. To me, Donald Trump is just the right-wing Obama. I think the parallels between the coalition that Obama built, the coalition that Trump built, I think the comparison of the campaign issues that Trump ran on and that Obama ran on and then broke them. And then ultimately, of course, what did this lead to? It led to a massive shift in the other direction. And I always say this, Trump is now basically, a neocon, and people don't like comparing him to George Bush for obvious reasons, because that kind of hurts your claim that Trump is different than Bush. And yet the results are very similar. Now, they're going to claim that we haven't gotten into a long-term war under Trump. And so, okay, I sacrifice that. That is true so far. Let's hope that's not what Iran ends up being. But the point is, it's unpopular foreign policy. No matter how long the war lasts, it's unpopular foreign policy. And what happened the last time we had this type of neocon foreign policy in the White House? We had George Bush, and that brought us Barack Obama. And then you had the radicalism of Barack Obama. That brought us Donald Trump. Now Trump is going to push everybody back to the left, is what I see happening. Now Trump is giving the Democrats all the momentum they need for the midterms and then the general in 2028. And so it's this pendulum swing. And Trump was supposed to kind of balance it out and hit pause until we took care of a lot of these issues. And it turns out he's just another pendulum swinger. And it looks like things are going to go back to the left. But it's funny. I just heard you mention a bunch of policy, Clayton, and when I try to have these political debates about, why say I don't like the direction the administration is going, I point to policy. You just name some policies. Well, they don't really debate policy. As you were saying, Natalie, all they do is, hey, I just support whatever Trump says. Whatever Trump says is good. Well, there's a problem. That's not policy. That's a cult. So you're not really embracing any policy. You don't even know what policy you support. If Trump comes out and supports trans kids, then you support trans kids. You don't really have any political ground to stand on. You don't really have any policy you support. You're just in a cult at this point. You're in a cult of personality. And it's a really dangerous thing, actually. It's a really dangerous thing for this to happen to our country. And I think it's dangerous for two reasons. I think it's dangerous because you don't want that type of a leader with that type of thought control over the voters. Now, obviously, I don't think the MAGA coalition is never going to win another election in any near history anyway. So I don't really think that that's the problem. But look at the disenfranchisement. Look at how betrayed people feel. I don't know if I've ever seen. There was definitely some of it with Obama. I was a younger guy. A lot of my friends, the first person they ever voted for was Obama. There was a lot of disenfranchisement from those young Americans that really thought Obama would get us out of the Middle East. And of course he didn't. Those people ended up voting for Trump. Now it's the same thing again. But every time you go through this cycle, you get a little more bitter. You get a little more upset. You get a little more disenfranchised about the entire political process. And I see a lot of people reaching that conclusion, which is they've just given up. They don't believe in the political process. Maybe they vote, maybe they don't, maybe they don't even care anymore. It just feels like no matter what you do politically, you always get the same results in Washington, D.C. And then what makes it even worse, when you try to identify the source for these results, when you try to get down to the bottom line of why does this keep happening, you see what happens. You get attacked, you get name called, you get sued, you get censored, you get threatened with imprisonment. So that turns people off too. it's a real mess. It's I can't tell if it's such a mess because it's just truly such a mess, or if it feels like it's such a mess because we're all feeling very betrayed. I don't know. Maybe it's both, but it really just feels very heavy at this time. It really feels very heavy with Trump writing essays on Truth Social every day about stuff that nobody cares about, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Well, can I chime in real quick on something, like, because if like you talk about the disenfranchisement and like how like Trump's actions have really swung things, like where MAGA's not going to gain power. Who is the left floating for a presidential candidate again? Kamala Harris.
Yes, Gavin Newsom.
Like, how comical is that? It's like when you know you've got a side that's just been given. Yeah, there's only the goalie's been pulled and there's only one opponent on the floor, and so they decide to take a knee. The disenfranchisement is insane. I'm not a hockey guy, so I'm sorry if I screwed up my analogy.
No, I don't think that's a very serious presidential campaign, though. I think Kamala Harris and her team have a treasure chest that they need to spend. So I think they are kind of just going to spend it and just do a little campaign. I don't think it's a serious campaign. I think at the end of the day, you're going to be looking at a Gavin Newsom. That seems to be the favorite here. And then depending on how Newsom wants his backdrop to be, that'll be how he decides who his vice president is. So if he wants to kind of cater to more of the young radical left-wing elements of the Democrat Party, he'll pull in somebody like a AOC. If he wants to try to look at something that's maybe more centrist,
Bernie,
you know, a little more polished, maybe he looks at something like a Josh Shapiro. I don't think the Kamala Harris campaign is serious. I think they're just trying to spend some money, maybe do some fundraising. I don't think that's a serious campaign. I'd be shocked if she ends up on another ballot for president.
I'm also shocked, though, when people think that the left is going to solve what the right has done. And, you know, sort of the same way, thinking that the right was going to solve what the left has done. It just feels too stupid to hold that opinion.
Well, and that's why people voted for Obama. And that's why people voted for Trump. And now what do? We sit here and complain.
Yeah. I mean, I'll get you out of here on this, Owen, which is to bring it back to Kushner. You know, we're in the middle of this Iran war. We've got this extended ceasefire. I mean, just quickly, you know, sending Kushner and Witkoff as like peace negotiators, it seemed like it was intentionally meant to sabotage. It was intentionally meant to make sure that this war does not end. By having Kushner there, you're not going to get a peace deal. Am I cynical?
You know, I was very high on Witkoff when this stuff first started happening. I thought he was a trustworthy guy, and I thought that he was truly coming from a good place to try to get something done. I'm not so sure anymore. I'm probably leaning more into your thought process, which is it was always meant to be sabotage. They never wanted a peace deal. And, you know, now the right wing gets, you know, they get their panties in a bunch. They get all sensitive over identity politics. But let's be real about the situation. If you're trying to negotiate a peace deal in the Middle East, you know, maybe sending a team full of Jews isn't the best idea. I don't know. Just saying. There seems to be an issue with some of those relations in the Middle East. And maybe, you know, you see Trump trying to kind of, it's like he's calling to the bullpen for Vance, right? He's like, all right, bring in JD. And now they don't want to talk anymore. So it's like, is that the Trump administration in an act of desperation realizing it's like, okay, this didn't work. Let's send in JD Vance. You know, maybe they'll trust him more and they know where he comes from. And so, okay, let's send him. And they're saying, no, we're not interested. You guys already blew it. Or is it just an act? Is it just like,
I think it's an act. It's an act. You know, I think it's an act. That's my opinion. But you bring JD Vance into this and you have it fail on purpose. And then who's waiting in the wings to be the next president? And it's you use Marco Rubio as the neocon white, you know, on a white horse that rides in and solves this and gets set up from the neocon perspective to carry the torch. JD Vance is being thrown to the wolves. And you use this as a sabotage moment, but that's
Marco Rubio, who again thinks Russia blew up their own pipeline. Yeah, right. That's the guy.
Isn't it so delusional? If they think Marco Rubio can win a presidential election, I just, you know, I got beachfront property in Kansas. I can tell you.
And if the money is there and they can convince enough people to fall in line with it,
You got beachfront
I think
property in Kansas.
they can do the rebranding, and they'll spend billions to do the rebranding, and it'll just be a matter of whether Americans fall for it.
I don't think they will, though, guys. I don't. I think the American people are more aware and paying attention than they ever have. And
I hope you're right.
Thanks to shows like yours and a lot of the independent media out there, you don't have to go to the same legacy news networks that just parrot propaganda all day. You don't. Their ratings are dying. Even their mouthpieces in the independent media are losing their ratings, like Ben Shapiro. So, no, I don't think. I think they're a little high on their own supply, as they say. I think they're completely delusional right now. I mean, they think Trump has 100% support from MAGA, which they know is a lie. But I think they're delusional in a lot of things. And if they think Marco Rubio is presidential material, I think that is grand delusions and never going to happen.
From your mouth to God's ears, I sure hope that's the case.
I'm a never Rubioer. But we got to work.
Don't worry, we're going to be all right, guys. You're not going to have a Rubio president. I'm making that guarantee right here, April 22nd, 2026. That's the Owen Schroyer on redacted guarantee. We'll revisit.
Okay, look, I'm knocking on wood. I'm going to throw some salt.
Yeah, no. We'll
pray.
Again, from your mouth to God's ears, I hope so. Owen Schroyer, host of the Owen Report. Great to have you here. Really great to have you back on the show. And continued great success, my friend, and continued great work. Where can people find your show?
Thank you. I love coming on Redacted. It's one of my favorite shows. You guys can find me on YouTube. The Owen Report is live 3 to 6 p.m. weekdays on YouTube, on Rumble, and on X. If you want to listen, Spotify. It is on Apple and iHeart as well. So iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, YouTube, X, Rumble, the Owen Report, 3 to 6 p.m. weekdays. Thank you so much for letting me tell people about my show on your show.
No, our pleasure to have you here on a rare opportunity to get you on our show. So thank you so much, Owen. Great to see you, my friend. All right. And thank you to all of you for being a part of our show today. We really appreciate it. Again, we should tell you about our daily newsletter. You can go to redacted.inc is the place to go and sign up. It publishes Monday through Thursday in your inbox. So grab it. It's free. And you just have to, you'll get a welcome email. You just need to confirm that email in your inbox. And then the next days, of course, you will receive that newsletter first thing in the morning over your cup of coffee, covering about 4 or 5 of the big stories of the day. And question the narratives there and make sure that you are informed over your cup of coffee. So there you go.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us this Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday, and we'll be here back live on whatever platform you watch us. Please make sure to interact with our program if you can. It helps us with the algorithm. Either leave a comment or a like, a thumbs up. We prefer those. So thank you so much for helping us out because, yes, as Owen pointed out, we are independent here, and it helps to reach out to other independent, like-minded people. So we'll see you tomorrow.
And today's show is sponsored by TMCR. The United States is finally waking up to the fact that critical minerals are a national security issue. These are the metals needed for batteries, defense systems, AI infrastructure, and advanced manufacturing. And for years, America has been far too dependent on foreign supply. And now Washington is moving right now with executive action to increase American mineral production back at home, a push to unlock offshore critical minerals, and a new NOAA permitting framework for deep seabed mining. So that is the backdrop for TMCR. Now, TMCR is a newly public royalty company, and it is not the same company as TMC. So TMCR's core asset is a 2% gross overriding royalty on TMC's Nori project, which is a large polymetallic nodule deposit which is tied to nickel, copper, cobalt, and manganese. The royalty model matters because TMCR gets a percentage of top-line production revenue if production happens without taking on the development and operating costs of building and running the mine itself. TMCR was purpose-built to help solve that problem, that we are too reliant on foreign supply. So TMCR does that by financing the onshoring and the nearshoring of U.S. critical minerals supply chains. And I think their tagline says it best: financing America's mineral security. And the company's own public presentation highlights a few numbers that stand out to me personally. 55.1 million basic shares that are outstanding, approximately $31.3 million in cash and no debt. And then 66% insider and strategic ownership. So again, no debt, and 66% of the shares are owned by insiders and strategic ownership. Now, the underlying asset also has had some real public milestones. TMC published a pre-feasibility study on NORI-D, and NOAA finalized its updated deep seabed permitting rules. And TMC has said it targets first production in Q4 of 2027, pending regulatory approval. So this is still an early stage story, guys, and nothing here is a guarantee, of course. So please read the filings yourself, do your own homework, do your own research. We'll have links to TMCR in the description so you can do your own homework, and we'll see you next time.
I see you, baby. Hmm.